how's it going? I am really enjoying my day today. It's been pretty peaceful and quiet so far, and I am on my way to meet a client, which I am super pumped about. And today I've really just been thinking about judgment and vulnerability, and kind of the mix of what happens when I step out in vulnerability. How do people respond? So I've kind of been toying with this idea of how we all experience vulnerability and then kind of project it outward onto other people. And I was really thinking about how judgment of others, I judge others most in the areas that I'm feeling vulnerable. Not only do I judge others, but I can also see how when others are judging me, it's probably based on something I'm doing that has kind of triggered some vulnerability in them. So my point of this little pep talk is perhaps to maybe stop taking judgment personally. Because I realize as I have taken some pretty vulnerable steps lately, my biggest things would be A, making videos. This is pretty uncomfortable for me. B, really actively writing my book and facing some shame triggers there that, maybe I'm not enough, or it's not going to be good enough, or whatever the bullshit is in my head. Those are really big vulnerability issues for me that I have been actively tackling. And what's been interesting is I noticed that although I have lots of people that are in my corner and cheering me on, and I love all of you guys that are supportive, I also have people who are the Debbie Downers who don't, they're going to let me know that they don't think it's going to work out well for me. Or they'll imply it, and whatever is going on in their mind, I don't know, but I have an idea that it's probably because I do the same exact thing. If I see somebody who has tackled their vulnerability and the things that they struggle with, let's say, we'll make an example again of writing a book or putting out videos. I know inside myself it's easy to be critical. When I see somebody else put out a book, I can pick apart, their cover doesn't look that great, or, they have grammar mistakes, or whatever, something they're saying in their Facebook Live videos, well, that's not true, or I can go anywhere. I know we all can. But I'm totally speaking from myself too. In the areas that I feel vulnerable, I feel better-ish about myself if I judge or criticize somebody else. So, knowing that, I get to clean up my side of the street, which means when I see judgment in myself, I spot it, I got it, right? I get to look at the vulnerability. I get to look at why. Why am I feeling the need to be critical? Is it to cover up some sort of shame or feeling that I'm not enough in that area? Is it because I don't feel like a good enough author that I want to pick somebody else apart? Is it because my videos don't feel good enough, so I'm going to pick somebody else's apart? And this can be any area, though I'm just picking a few of mine, but there's all sorts of areas. We can pick apart people's relationships. We can pick apart people's leadership skills or work skills or whatever. But when we do that, look at the why. Why am I participating in this judgment? The second piece of that is when I'm experiencing judgment from somebody else, I can have a greater amount of empathy for somebody if I know that that's just coming from their own vulnerability. If somebody's criticizing me, most likely it's because they're struggling with the feeling of not being enough in that area. And when I can see it that way, I can really have some compassion and know that they're really struggling with their own vulnerability. So if I can hold a compassionate space for them, perhaps they will be able to find the space to be courageous and face that vulnerability and move through those steps the same way that I have. Definitely, judgment is not a reason for us to hold back facing our vulnerability. You know, if you're facing criticism because you're taking some tough steps and you're trying to fill some bigger shoes, keep doing it. It's okay to make people uncomfortable. In fact, it can be a really good thing to make people uncomfortable. I'm deeply grateful for the people in my life who have made me uncomfortable and that have stepped out into their, you know, next best potential being, their next best self. I'm really grateful that people have done that and caused some discomfort in my mind so that I can, you know, pick it up a little bit and take my next courageous step. So I hope that resonates with somebody out there. Let me know, what are you struggling with? What's the judgment that you're facing towards other people? Are you feeling criticized? How are you dealing with that? How are you finding a compassionate space for other people who may be critical of you? And I guess one other thing too, just because I'm experiencing criticism from somebody else, I can have compassion, but I also don't have to stay in that space. You know, criticism can be kind of a wet towel on my movement forward, and that's not okay with me. So I can have compassion for those people, and then I can find the people that really want to see me shine, and I can spend most of my time with those people, and that's in my corner of responsibilities, right? It's my choice who I hang with. So anyway, I hope those are some good tips for you today. Please, you know, share with me, how are you being vulnerable? What are you doing to step out and be your next best self? And how are you handling the criticism that comes from that? I hope you all have an awesome day. I love you lots. I am planning on having a fabulous rest of my evening, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Okay, bye-bye.